So my name is Ryan Phillips and I run the farm animal sanctuary called Life with Pigs here in Williamsburg, Virginia. And this is my best friend, Jenna.
How did you go vegan, or why did you go vegan?
So how did I become vegan? I became vegan after watching a documentary called Food Inc., which is kind of a very gentle version of showing what happens to animals. It kind of showed how animals are raised, the treatment that they get, the very small living quarters that they usually get, how dirty it is, and just how badly animals are treated on farms. And then it also showed a little bit of how animals are actually slaughtered, and I just knew I couldn't be a part of that anymore. The other So another thing that got me to go vegan was my dad dying at the age of 63 of heart-related issues. I didn't want to die while my kids were still young, so I started looking into how I can eat healthier, and found out that by giving up meat and dairy and eggs, you could actually live healthier, and vegans are known to live longer on average. So I thought that that would be a great way to ensure that I didn't die of heart stuff while my kids were still young.
What vegan activism did you do before starting Life with Pigs?
Before starting Life with Pigs, I did a lot of different forms of activism. One of the first ways was through artwork, trying to use illustrations to create a message that would tell the story of what was happening to animals. And at the time, I didn't live with any animals, so I just spent a lot of time teaching myself to draw, and had never really done much because one of my elementary school art teachers had told my grandma that I should definitely avoid a career in art, that it just wasn't something that was in my
You
future.
didn't hear? She totally dairy farmed me.
Huh, what does that mean?
Oh, she told everyone that she loved me, milked me of all my joy and happiness, and then left me without a second thought when I stopped being useful to her.
Damn, she totally dairy farmed you. At least.
But at this point, I was very motivated. I taught myself to do it, and that was one of the ways that I used or did activism. Another way that I did activism was by doing a protest on a corner here in Williamsburg, where I would stand out there each day with a sign. And it started as, I was going to be out there for just a couple days. And after a couple days, I thought I can do it a couple days more. And then it was like, I can do it for a few weeks. And then it was like, oh, I'll do it for a whole month. And in the end, I had stayed there for 134 days in a row. I mean, I went home, and during that time, I had a lot of people that would shout support. There was a lot of people, who were really nice about it. And I've even had people since say that seeing me out there inspired them to make changes in how they ate. On the flip side of that, there were people who hated me. There were people who threw cigarettes at me. There were people who yelled, the meanest things they could think of. There were people who got out of their car. One guy hit me in the face with his middle finger after pretending like he was about to pull a gun on me. There was another person who charged at me with his fists up as if he was going to beat me up. And I had mace on my keychain at the time, so fortunately he backed down and left. But just all kinds of stuff, which is interesting considering all I was doing was asking people to consider treating animals better. I had no power to force them to do so.
How did Life with Pigs Animal Sanctuary start?
So the way that Life with Pigs got started is actually because of Pumpkin here. Prior to Pumpkin, I had done a lot of that activism that I talked about. But Pumpkin was a breeder pig, and the person that was using her to pump out babies to sell decided that they were going to move and stop using her that way. And a lot of times pigs from those situations end up euthanized. People don't want a full-grown pig, they want a piglet, and so a lot of times they will either be dumped somewhere or they will just end up in a bad situation. People actually do try to butcher them and do like a backyard barbecue with pigs like Pumpkin, unfortunately. So we asked if we could keep one of her babies with her, and so one of her last babies was Charlotte. So we had 2 pigs that moved into a condo in Williamsburg with us with a no pet policy. And before too long, there was 3 pigs, because Millie, our 3rd pig, our oops baby, came along. And then we had a chicken named Beatrice, all living in a condo. And it was sort of at that point that we figured out maybe we needed to start a sanctuary rather than just have a condo with a lot of animals. We also had...
How did you start posting on social media?
So how did I get started on social media? The way I got started using social media for the sanctuary was shortly after visiting Colonial Williamsburg and the College of William and Mary with our pig Charlotte. I realized people were having like a really big impact from meeting animals. One person met Charlotte, and holding Charlotte in her arms, she's like, I could never eat a pig again after this. And so I thought, this is a great sort of experience for people, but also being able to share this with people so that they can see the impact would be really powerful. And that's sort of what led me to start using social media. And I also wanted to be able to share Pumpkin's story.
In what ways do you think your social media has made an impact?
We can quantify it in terms of how many people we've reached. We've reached hundreds of millions of people just through Facebook and Instagram alone. We've been, because of our posts on social media, we've had stories picked up about Jenna here that were in the on the cover of Fox News's website. The New York Post picked it up. All sorts of different media outlets have shared her story and told how Jenna here was going to be killed because she was infertile, so the dairy farmer had no use for her. She wouldn't be able to produce milk. And so, they were able to share this story with the world. And so that came from doing social media. In addition,
how do you incorporate your love of music into your activism?
So I've been playing music since I was in high school, and I like to try to incorporate it as much as possible, whether that be writing background music for the videos that we do, or writing songs that have a pro-animal message in them. But one of my favorite things to do is to sing to Jenna while she lays behind me, and she'll swing her head and her horns over the top of me. She really gets into music. And probably one of my favorite videos is where I sang the song Hallelujah, but I rewrote the lyrics to talk about what happens to animals.
Now from this moment I devote my time to right this wrong, to stop this crime. With animals don't belong to you. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
And that video reached like 25 million people have seen it, and at this point, there's dozens and dozens of comments where people directly say that it's changed how they think about animals and the choices they'll make when it comes to choosing what they're going to eat.
What would you like people to take away from your activism?
So I think my hope is that people take away from what we do that the animals that we live with and we consider family are so much like the animals that most people have in their homes, like dogs and cats. So I don't think anyone wants to hurt animals or to have their actions cause animals to suffer. And so our hope is to show them that it's easy to live in a way where animals don't suffer because of our actions or our choices.
and this here is Annie, who's leaving me.
Social media.
Where I would try.
Question.
Activism.
Oh yeah. What? Hi. Hey Jenna. Oh yeah, there's...
I don't know why. Some of the fight. You can't beat up a camera person.